We're going to do Autonomy Power Rankings. Those start right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our contestants for our analysts for Autonomy Power Rankings. First up, he is out of upstate New York, Buffalo, New York, the Penn State original, the blue-collar VC, Garuth Acharya.
Chicken wings versus lobster roll versus pasties.
And next, right out of Maine, he's back for more, the Lobster Man, Prism co-founder Matthew Hawkins. And we're not going to kick off our red-suited friend, Mr. Michael Knickerbocker. All right, gentlemen, so here's how this is going to work. For the friends at home, we've populated a list of air and maritime autonomy companies. We're going to do top 5. We're going to do 5 in air and then 5 in maritime. Our analysts are going to give you their top 5. They're going to go ahead, stick them on the board from 5 to 1, and tell us what they're thinking. Then we'll have a little bit of a conversation about it. We'll break this market down. We'll see who's got the momentum on the floor today. All right? Garuth, you ready to kick us off, brother?
All right, let's do it. I'm fired up.
Let's roll with air. We'll go air first. You guys, your names are here twice. Garuth, you're starting on the far left. Air, start from 5 to 1. And just tell us what you're thinking, man. Give us your number 5 pick in the air autonomy market.
All right. So 5 to 1. I'm going to start off with Firestorm first.
Firestorm Labs. Pick
At 5?
sliding it in the 5 spot for Garuth
Jeez, don't tell
Acharya.
Dan.
Just pull the back off of that sucker and stick that thing right on there. Hey, team, just a reminder, the challenge booth is open. So if at the end of this round you think somebody muffed this punt, get on up there and haul that thing. All right, give us your logic behind 5, Garuth. What's up with Firestorm? What's going on?
Look, Firestorm has a lot that's going on. Big fan. Additive manufacturing or, deploying these things at the edge, getting it out to the warfighter. This is great. But in my mind, I think there's a couple others that rank a little bit higher. But big fan of what the team is doing. I think deploying to the warfighter in the war zone is important, which is why they ranked in my top 5. Big fan of the other 4 as well.
Awesome. Well, we love to see that. Number 5, Firestorm Labs. Garuth, why don't you we'll just power rank yours.
Power rank? All right. Number 4.
Give us number 4. Who's slotting in at number 4 for Garuth?
All right. I'm going to put this down.
Just go ahead and make yourself at home here. This is playtime. AeroVironment, AVAV, publicly traded company, slotting in at number 4. What's going on here? Tell us what's going on with AeroVironment.
AeroVironment is a household name in the UAV realm. And so, look, I'm a big fan of what these guys are doing. I think they're good. Public gives them opportunity for access to more capital. And I think M&A is a big play in the realm of where they're going to be succeeding. They can go ahead, access the capital, buy new companies, which can go ahead and spur it. So I think the next 3, I have a little bit more to talk to, and they fire me up a tad bit more. So that's it.
Hey, look, it's all good here. There's lots of room to win in this market. All right, Garuth, go ahead and unstick number 3. And as you unveil this pick, tell us what you're doing here.
Look, number 3 is actually my number 1. And hot take, PDW is
that makes no sense.
Look, there's 2 schools of thought, right? You could be honest about this, but look, PDW is my favorite out of all of the autonomy space for a couple reasons. One is, first and foremost, they got a killer platform, the C100. On top of that, they had 3 things. They do drones, right? They do both, they won the Army MRR program, which is incredible. You can take it out of a backpack, and it's kind of like your own Reaper in the air, right?
Stick that thing in there. You're going to hurt your back.
All right.
We got board failure. Here we go. PDW slotting in number 3.
PDW is actually one of my favorite companies of all time. Couple reasons. 1, 3 things that they do. They have a killer platform where you can launch ammunition, strap a grenade launcher to it, ISR. The second is they got a sick comm system operating in denied environments. So when we talk about, frequency hopping, all this kind of good jazz, whether it's for SOCOM or brigade level folks, these guys are crushing. And the third, they got a sick modeling and simulation platform. And this is what I think is really important. You got to train before you go into the mission. And the more data you have, the better your drone operates. And that's why I think these guys are going to crush. They went toe-to-toe with Anduril, the Army MRR program. They're working with folks in the UAE. They're working with folks, Navy EOD, SEAL teams, the rest of SOCOM, and also law enforcement as well. Shout out to LEO.
Careful, baby. PDW is getting all excited with that sales pitch right there. Where's our PDW friends in the audience? That was nice. All right, Garuth. PDW slots in number 3. We're getting to the top 2. Give us a little preview of number 2.
Number 2 is a small startup. It's called Shield AI. Up and coming. I think the production team is out of Tejas. That's Texas in Spanish. Specifically, what fires me up about these guys is that, look, they're an OG household name. The second thing is that they got a killer AI platform. And third is, whether they're not dominating in the U.S., they're killing it in international sales. So shout out to the team. Big fan of what they're doing, whether it's both with the U.S., allies in NATO, and then also with the Indians as well. Big fan of what's on the near horizon.
All right, as Garuth sticks number 2, Shield AI in there. And no brotherly love in there. We didn't talk about the twins at the top, or the brothers at the top of the totem pole there. Okay, so now, drum roll, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Garuth's number 1 pick for Air Autonomy. What do we got?
Look, there's 2 schools of thought. One is you're conservative, and the second is you say these guys are absolutely crushing.
Monsters.
Anduril is absolutely crushing. I don't think anybody here has a debate. Look, these guys are crushing with their Lattice platform. They're crushing it with their multiple different product lines, with their UAVs. Big fan. They're also number 2 on the Army RR program.
There it is, baby. Anduril, number 1 pick from Garuth. And that rounds out Air Autonomy rankings number 1. Well done, Garuth. Thank you for that breakdown. All right, wasting no time here. Mr. Michael Knickerbocker, let's get after it. Number 5 for you, sir. As you're sticking it, give us your...
So I've got AeroVironment for the same reasons that Garuth kind of shouted them out. Is they are a household name. They're well established, and they have a lot of success in the space, so why would I not put them 5?
First replicator win from the Switchblade. Number 4. Michael is sticking number 4 on the board right now, and it is...
Guy Dio? Is that like
again.
Ronnie
Big
James
fan.
Dio?
Skydio.
Knows a lot.
Yeah, I know. So here's the thing. A lot of people left them for dead when they got beat out by Teal. But here's one of the things that I always say is the iPhone is the iPhone. Why? Is it because it's just this amazing piece of hardware? No. What makes an iPhone so powerful is the apps that are on it and the network that actually makes it function. And this is where Skydio has gone now with their dock platform in order to recharge so that they can have their systems land on it, recharge, and then go back out. So at some point in time, being able to provide for your own logistics support and being able to recharge, that's going to give you more time on station. And sometimes the best capability is availability.
All right, sir, let's keep it rolling here. Number 3 for Mr. Knickerbocker. As you peel that tape, who we got?
All right, I don't have fingernails like him. So I got Firestorm Labs. I like what Dan and the team are doing out there in San Diego. It's a box that makes a drone in a box. How can you not love it?
Awesome. Yeah, this is hard. Okay.
So at number 2, I have Anduril. And for a lot of the same reasons is because, much like I said for Skydio, what Anduril is doing is it's a piece of the puzzle. So they've got their Sentry Tower, they've got Lattice, they're bringing in the different platforms that are going to fit into the different mission areas. So Anduril is meeting all of the requirements in order to kind of take it from where the fob is all the way to the front line.
Stick it on there, brother. Let's go at number 2. Anduril slotting in. I'll peel while you tell us number 1.
So number 1 is Shield AI. Because, again, they got the operating system. They know how to form partnerships. But most importantly, they just hired Yank Cummings. So they brought in an F-14 guy that helped write the script for Top Gun Maverick. So they're number 1.
Mic drop on that. Okay. These are quite complicated to peel, as it turns out, or we all just have stubby little fingernails, which is maybe the bigger problem. All right, I'm excited to round us out here. We heard a lot of ideas. We heard a lot of qualitative, and now we're bringing up the founder of one of the big quantitative platforms in the space, Mr. Matt Hawkins. Let's get your top 5.
Dude, I love the get up. It's fucking fresh. I love it.
All right, so Noah, what I'm going to ask you to do is unpeel these while I give the rationale for my top 5, and I'll just do a rapid fire. So
Let's do it.
Big thing about my company Prism is that we're trying to make sense of the defense ecosystem, and so I really wanted to take a look at who's got great contract momentum right now, who's got a mission fit right now. Obviously, Anduril and Shield are 2 of the biggest names. They've got great contracts, but I didn't want to just make my ranking based on who's got the most money, but really who's got the most velocity, and I'm not even a VC to say that. So I think that's a pretty smart one, Garuth. Quote me on that. So my first one, my number 5, actually going down the list is going to be Shield AI. So I'm putting them down at the list, not because there's other companies we looked at. They're definitely in my top 5. As Mike said, their operating system, HiveMind, is incredible. It's a great way to build out programs of record. But I think that there's other companies on the list that I want to call out more. But still, Shield AI is one of the best American companies out there today. So shout out to that team. Leave that there. All right, next up, number 4 for me, Boston company. That's not why I'm picking them. Merlin Labs. I really like their dual use play. So they have a lot of really solid contracts. Most recently being an over $100 million contract with SOCOM. That's actually an OTA talking about just this week. We saw a lot of momentum around that type of contracting vehicle. They're moving it. They're showing folks how it's done with both the hardware and software play. Merlin Labs, number 4. Number 3, shout out to the San Diego fam at Firestorm Labs. Love what these guys are doing, mostly from a product perspective. They really think about the end-to-end user experience of the operator. They're also building for the future fight while also still sustaining the current one. So shout out to Dan and the team at Firestorm. My top 2. This one was tough. I'm going to first go with number 2 as Neros. So earlier stage company, but a ton of velocity right now. I think we're seeing in the war in Ukraine that first-person viewing has been a huge tactical advantage. And so I think Neros is doing an amazing job with it. They also got a ton of momentum right now. So shout out to Neros. And then last but not least, to round it out, my number 1 is Skydio. And I think this is motivated by more of a global perspective that the world does need a better competitor to DJI. And I think it needs to be an American company. And so what Skydio is doing for both commercial and the government market is incredible. They got a great product, as Mike talked about, with their docking system. They're my number 1 company. Those are my 5.
There it is. All right, gentlemen. That is a power ranking right there. So for the folks in the audience here, there's a lot of similar names on here. You see Skydio on 2 of the 3. You see Shield AI on 3 of the 3. We see Anduril on 2 of the 3. Firestorm Labs on 3 of the 3. We have a challenge flag. Ladies and gentlemen, our first challenge of the afternoon. Sir, what's your name and what's your challenge?
My name's Joe. My challenge is, Anduril makes it on 2 of the lists, but not the 3rd. What kept Anduril off of your list?
Is that a challenge or a question?
Anduril should be on your list. Why is it not?
Okay, so the challenge was to me that I didn't pick Anduril, and Joe from the audience wanted to pick a fight over that. Here's the thing. I'm talking about power rankings. I think they have an amazing product. They have an amazing team at Anduril. But when I'm talking about like who's next and where would I put my money right now, where would I invest? Andurил's doing an amazing job. They're building out their own ecosystem. But if we're talking about deterring, the future fight, we need to have a more robust industrial base. We need to have a broader diversity of capabilities. And so with the 5 that I had to pick, it was tough. No offense to Anduril. They'd definitely be maybe top 7, but that's why I didn't pick them.
What just 2 things on that. Love your inclusion of Neros on there with JD Vance taking a photo with them. I think I saw that on Twitter. So shout out to the White House PR team for their support of the industrial base and defense tech.
And that is Vice President JD Vance.
Yeah. We're not on first name basis yet, but VP Vance.
There you go.
Very cool. Okay, so we have a challenge. We have a rebuttal. What do you think, team?
I'm not changing it.
Not changing it. What do we think?
I'm sticking with mine. I like it all.
How did Matt do on his rebuttal? We think up, yay or nay?
Look, I think it's a poetic answer, and I like it.
He was John Kerry on the campaign trail. He did whatever he could to straddle the fence there and not actually harden up his stance. So I'm going to give it to Challenger.
You got more waffles than a
Mike,
house
you better
of
put your helmet back on there, buddy.
pancakes. Okay, so it's 1-1. I'm the tiebreaker vote. I thought he defended himself well. We'll let Matt keep his seat.
Let's go.
All right. Gentlemen, so that rounds out our air autonomy power rankings. Nice job with these. We had a little bit of, we have a little bit of spice in here, a little PDW, a little Neros, but a lot of consistency. AeroVironment, Firestorm, Shield, pretty much on every list. I think we see there's some kind of clustering at the top, and a lot of game left to play. A lot can change in the next 6 to 12 months. All right, with that, let's move into maybe even the hotter autonomy market right now. This one's on fire. Maritime autonomy. Every time I look on the internet, there is a new maritime autonomy company popping up. There is news. There is attention. We heard about it here at Apex today. Mike, come on up here and give us your top 5 maritime autonomy companies.
So my number 5, much like Garuth, is actually my number 1.
Bold.
And that
Challenge.
So
the challenge pack is going to keep coming back.
Blue Water Autonomy is being led by a SWO. And it's being led by a guy who spent more than a year in Ukraine, in Austin Gray. They know the space. They know what it takes to operate a ship at sea. They started big right away because at the end of the day, what I'm going to need to project naval power is large platforms that can carry large payloads that are going to put the other adversarial ships at the bottom of the ocean.
So a bet on team is what we're hearing there. A bet on team.
11-10 Pride, baby.
There it is. Okay, and at
So
number 4.
At number 4, I have VATN Systems. What Nelson is doing there in Portsmouth, Rhode Island is awesome. Rhode Island is building this great ecosystem up there. You've got Anduril is looking at moving a facility in there. They're up in nearby Quincy, Mass., but also planning some stuff in the state of Rhode Island. You have Regent Craft, who I know Garuth is a big fan of. But
Garuth, let's see that hat
VATN
you got on there. Help
Systems.
out timeout. You called him out. Let the man show off his hardware. What do you got on your head there?
Look. Shout out to Regent Craft. Big fan of Billy. Big fan of Tom Huntley here in D.C. They got a great rooftop. D.C. summer vibes. Post drinks over there.
Does that maritime autonomy count?
They have an autonomous.
Nice.
Version.
Okay.
Light
Number
touch
6.
autonomy. All
Number
right,
6.
Mike.
Light
nice
touch.
job.
But VATN Systems, I think, is going to be the one that comes for the Lionfish program and is going to wrestle away from HII and Remus.
All right, who we got checking in?
So at number 3, I have Havoc AI. And I think Havoc AI is going to shoot up this board because what they just did at Project Convergence, and then they announced the Sea Hound. They're going to bigger. I wasn't necessarily a believer at first, but after seeing what they've actually done at Silent Swarm and going to Project Convergence, they're not just about flashy videos. They're about putting boats in the water and executing live missions.
I don't know if our buddy Brad Harrison is still in the audience here, but you spent a lot of time with Brad today. That Havoc is
He's on an airplane.
is running up the charts.
They have a SWO on the founding team, and they have an EA6B guy that's the CEO that's going to understand how to do distributed electronic
Folks,
warfare.
if you haven't figured this out yet, there is a way to buy Michael's heart and vote, and it has 3 letters, SWO. Okay, sir, who we got at number 2?
So at number 2, another team that I know pretty well, and I love the team and the leadership, and I think that they are showing that they understand the space, despite being a bunch of very nice, handsome special operators. It's Saronic. So Dino and the team there are now unveiling more craft. They've understood that they need to get big with Marauder at over 100 feet, and that they're also going in the in-between and moving quickly past just Spyglass and Cutlass. So you're going to need multiple platforms in order to perform the missions that are going to be needed at sea in the blue water.
And last, but absolutely not least, in fact, the opposite, who's checking in at number 1?
So I guess I'm coming off as an Anduril fanboy, but here's what gave them number 1 to me was actually their unveiling at Sierra in Space with the deployable underwater acoustic sensors for seabed sentry. Because again, when I talk that you have to have all those things to make the iPhone great, Anduril's gone out and has deployable sensors that can then connect with their UUVs. They're working on their USV with an established prime. They understand the space and have other people to understand the space, and are building it bottom out And I think that they're going to continue to hold that spot until Blue Water or Havoc unseat them.
All right. Hey, and he's calling his shot. He not
was
only
big.
might someone unseat him, he's calling the shot. Listen, folks, you can't get this anywhere else, right? VCs, they like to introduce their investing in the space with maybe a nice market map,
and I can be bought with gainful employment.
That was I think phenomenal analysis. Thank you, Michael. Let's go ahead, Garuth. Hop on up here. Let's get your top 5.
Let's see that market map.
All right. Coming
Sorry,
in
that
hot
wasn't
with
a
my
shot
market
at you,
map.
brother.
No.
You
Don't
got
forget
some
I'm a blue collar VC. Never
Blue
forget
collar
it.
VC.
Never forget it.
Shout out VC Brags.
I'm forklift certified. All right.
He went
First
to the
one we're
Big
gonna
Ten,
go-
not Stanford, so he's blue collar all the way.
100%. I'm a Central Pennsylvania boy.
Big pen guy.
First one we're going to go with is Vatten. Big fan of Nelson Mills. I think the leadership over there is incredible. Love the grit, love their ability to deploy pretty fast and iterate on product. The second, or number 4, we're going to go in with the Region Craft alumni, Havoc AI. Big fan of what they're doing in the realm of autonomy and maritime. I think attritable systems, being able to go deep, fast, ready to ride. Havoc AI does that.
Riding the Rhode Island.
Absolutely.
ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Hammer Rhode Island. Long Rhode Island. All right.
There's a reason Taylor Swift loves Rhode Island.
Clam cakes are all.
Big
That's
autonomy
number
fan.
4. All right. Checking in at number 3. Who we got at number 3?
Number 3, we're going to go with a small up-and-coming startup, Sail Drone on the West Coast. Big fan of what they're doing. Backed by some big dogs on the cap table as well. Shout out to the venture folk. But let's show them some love. I think they were OG in the maritime space. They've been historically, backed by some of the big players within the IC and within the Navy, if I remember correctly. Incredible in what they're doing.
Fascinating founder story there, too. Richard's a pretty interesting guy, setting the speed record.
Ah.
Oil ships or something like that.
So coming in with number 2, I think I stand along with Mike. Big fan of Saronic. Dino is a great guy. On top of being a blue-collar Wharton grad with his MBA, he was a former SEAL. But really, the Tier 1 guy on their team, no shade against the Tier 1s, is John Morgan. We used to work together at a small up-and-coming space company called SpaceX, and he was my production supervisor. So we used to be building composite interstages together.
Best collection of jaw lines in the industry, too.
Yeah, no, and beautiful. He also looks great in a seersucker suit.
I think the trick for Garuth, to be blue-collared or Garuth, you just can't go to Yale or Harvard. Is pretty much
Look, I'm a state school guy. Let's keep it kosher. Last one is Anduril. Look, these guys, I think, are doing a couple things. One is they got immense amounts of capital. Number 2, they're leveraging the geopolitical tailwinds with AUKUS. I don't know how much about the Brits, but the Aussies are coming in hard, and the relationship between us and them is very close, and Anduril is definitely riding on those tides, and they have an incredible bench of engineers, and I think Anduril is going to stay on top, at least for the foreseeable future, but close second to Saronic. Who's not on this list, shout out Region Craft, big fan of Billy, Tom Huntley, and the rest of the team. Keep crushing.
All right. Thank you, Garuth. So we've got Anduril and Saronic in the top 1 and 2 spots for 2 of our 3 analysts. Mr. Hawkins, will we go 3 for 3?
No.
Let's see. Oh, you don't spoil it. You don't give away the show. Everybody's going to tune off the live stream. Stick around, folks. I promise. There's some good surprises at the end. All right, Matt, take us away. Who we got at 5?
All right. So my power rankings, just like the last time, are going to be informed by the velocity of these companies right now, not just their, capability set or their current contract size alone, right? Anduril's crushing it. Anduril's not even going to be on this list, not because I don't like them, but because there's other companies I want to shout out. The first one, if you want to go toe-to-toe on autonomous sail drones, Ocean Aero, I'm taking over sail drone, all right? I think that key thing here, this is a multi-domain platform, so independent of the contracts, the fact that this thing can go above water and below water, just cool stuff.
Provocative, I like it.
Yeah, all right. So we like
Michael Clark, also a SWO, knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Big SWO energy. Okay, so Ocean Aero, number 5. Number 4, Saronic. I am going to put them on the list. I do really like the way they've been going to market, right? They're on a really strong OTA right now, about $23 million awarded so far, so they've got capital. They've been using that to leverage into larger venture investments to keep scaling their company. Love what they're doing. Number 3, I think I have Blue Water Autonomy. I had it number 2. So Vatten and Bedrock, yes, my number 3. probably off everybody's radar is Bedrock Systems. This is Bedrock Ocean Experimentation. The reason why I think deep sea exploration and deep sea ISR is going to be a huge thing in the next decade. This company has an attritable system, very commercially developed, really strong momentum with a company that I think is going to bode well in the DoD's focus on commercial technology. That's number 3. Number 2 is Blue Water Autonomy, so another Boston company. I do love what Austin and his team are doing, not because it's been getting a lot of energy and because they have a founding team, but what I really love is that they're so focused on a new type of capability set that's going to have a lot of dual use opportunities. So love the momentum that they have right now. Number 1, Vauten Systems out and around. Love what Nelson's doing with his team. This is a really well-run company that was patient with its capital. They didn't take too much of a round to begin with. They built a great product. That's why they're my number 1, especially because of how much they can scale across not just the services, but the commercial market as well. So that's my top 5.
Shout out. Thank you, Matt. Awesome. Well, yeah, and if you want to catch, Matt actually had a great conversation with Austin Gray last week, I believe. Blue Water Autonomy, Vauten Systems on here a few times. Nelson Mills will be here tomorrow on, I believe, on the Inside Stage.
And Blue Water Autonomy had a craft in the water doing testing before they came out of stealth. So they know what they're talking about. They're not just a PowerPoint slide.
Love to hear it. All right, gentlemen. This concludes our very first, but certainly not the last, Defense Game Day Power Rankings. Keep an eye on this thing. We're going to keep this updated because, as we know, this market changes fast. Contract wins make change. Will move people around. It's pretty cool. Let's close on this, guys. These are some heavy hitters. A lot of folks in this audience may have heard of many of these names, if not all of these names. Some. Give us a dark horse autonomy company. Maybe one that we didn't talk about today. Maybe one that's, just coming out of stealth. Maybe the one that maybe you're on the cap table. Maybe not, Garuth. For others, someone you're looking at longingly from afar and kind of getting excited. I'll give you a few seconds here, filibuster, so you can think about this. I didn't tell them they were going to get a dark horse question. So, we keep things we keep it a little spicy here on Defense Game Day. Michael's ready now. Kick us off.
So, in the airspace, but they're also maritime, is Levanta Tech and Kelly Eccles. So they have their prototype for the Halia, which is a wing and ground effect float and fly drone. They started working on things around the same time that Regent caught a bunch of eyes. They're working on a similar technology, but keeping it at a much smaller scale, except they still have something with a large enough footprint to carry a meaningful payload and be able to loiter for 6 months at a time. But he's an older guy and a former lawyer and not a Stanford undergrad, so I don't think he's getting the hype train behind him. But mark my words, if you get in on Levanta Tech and Kelly Eccles, great founding team, they're going places.
Not investment advice, but we love a little bit of conviction in our takes. Thank you, Mr. Knickerbocker.
Clearly, I don't know anything about investing. You should see my portfolio.
Just all the caveats apply. All right. Garuth, who you got for us?
I'm going to go a little spicy. I'm going to go with Chris Amidon at Amidon Heavy Industries. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. They're playing in the autonomy space, but for maritime, not so much for air. I think air is a little spicy at the moment. I'm going to go mostly focus on maritime right now, given I think that's where the domain is in my expertise. So
shout out to Chris and Amidon.
Based on an El Segundo, the Mafia is strong.
Yeah, the Segundo Mafia. We're going to do a whole segment on El Segundo. That's coming up. All right, Mr. Hawkins, finish us off.
All right, this might be my hottest take.
Hottest take. We got the fire emojis fired up.
My dark horse in autonomy, Lockheed Martin.
Whoa.
Right? Because
whoa. Sound the alarm. We got any Lockheed people in the building.
Yeah.
Any Lockheed Martin reps in the building. You just got shouted out from Defense Game Day at the startup stage. We got an early stage panel of founders. Lockheed Martin. Okay. You're also an alum. There's a little bias.
I'm an alum, but here's the thing.
Let's hear it.
They just NGAD, right? That's publicly known. They are trying to what's the next play, right? They didn't get CCA either. They're trying to figure out the next play. This company is known for innovation. Everybody's sleeping on them because they're paying attention to what A16Z and all those companies are investing in. But this is a crown jewel of America. They're going to come up with something. So that's my dark horse. Don't sleep on the primes. Don't sleep on Lockheed. It's still a great American company. It's going to do some cool stuff. Mic drop.
You know what? Love to see it. Gentlemen, fantastic.
Yeah,
well done. Can we get a round of applause? That's a pretty nice round of power rankings. We like the dark horse. We like some spicy takes. There's a good mix of insight and a little bit of stir in the pot. Thank you, guys. All right, gentlemen. I want to thank everybody here. First off, to our live audience, thank you for sticking with us. We've had a start and stop day. We did pregame, postgame. Guess what? We will be back right here on this stage tomorrow morning, 7:45 a.m. Eastern. We'll be live, bringing you everything you need to know to get ready for the day. We got 1 or 2 fun games as well. We play a little King of the Hill, a little acronym Jeopardy, maybe even a fantasy draft. Some of the same players we heard about today on the Fantasy Power Rankings, we're going to rank some of those players, see how people might draft their starting 5. I want to go ahead and shout out one more time, Apex Defense, thank you for making this happen. And to all of our partners, to Forterra, to the Arena, and to not last but certainly not least, my friend Matt at Prism. Thank you for making this happen. We're excited to be here. We're just getting started. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.